Okay, so we resampled the output of our master track, and now we essentially have a bounce of this work in progress saved to our CF card. What I want to do now is focus more on different ways to manipulate this that could be useful for performance or useful next time we want to bounce a song down. Just some different ways to manipulate the audio. And we can do this by using scenes. I mentioned before that scenes are a way that we can basically smoothly crossfade between parameter states, and we have multiple scene slots and different ways to take advantage of these. So I'm just going to point out a few useful scenarios. Let me go back to the first pattern here. And I'm in the pattern mode. I'm not in the arranger right now. So this pattern's just going to keep playing over and over again. Let me go ahead and mute some of this stuff. And actually, you know what I want to do? Let's focus on this third track here. Oh, track 8 is our master. I forgot. I moved this over here, right? Okay. So focusing on track 3. All right. Now, what would be interesting, I kind of talked about this before. I've been alluding to it for a while. We have this rate parameter. Let me go to track 3. We have this rate parameter. And if I go into the playback setup, if rate is assigned to pitch, we can utilize this to make it feel almost like we're kind of scratching the audio or manipulating the audio like vinyl. And when that is assigned to the crossfader, this is a very, very easy thing to do. Now, if I want to utilize the scenes, if I hold down the scene A button, I see right now the trigs changed, and there's a light at 9, and there's a light that's red here at 1. So scene A, this is the scene slot for scene A. If I hold down scene B, I see this is green, and now this is red. So this is the scene slot for scene B. So I could have 8 different scenes for scene A and 8 different scenes for scene B from this area. What I want to do is I want to make it so that when the crossfader is on the leftmost side, the rate is at its highest positive value. And when the crossfader is at the rightmost side, the rate is at a negative value, like this. What I can do is I can make it so that when the crossfader's here, if I hold down this scene A button, this is the scene that I'm going to assign that parameter state to. So I want the rate parameter to be at its maximum when the crossfader is on this side. I'm holding down the scene button. All I have to do now is just press this knob in, and I see the graphics are inverted. So anytime the crossfader is on this side, the rate will be the maximum value. I'm going to change the rate to its minimum value now, and I'm going to hold the scene B button. Now I'm going to press this in, and it's going to assign that parameter state to this scene, which is tied to scene B. So, oops, click that in. There we go. All right, now when I move the crossfader, we don't see this parameter move. And no matter what I change this parameter to, it doesn't really matter because this parameter is going to be controlled by the crossfader. I've assigned 2 different scenes, so it's going to smoothly blend between this parameter state, which is plus 63, and this parameter state, which is minus 64. So let me go ahead and play this. So let me bring in some drums so we can just hear this with some rhythmic context. Now, I think I did that as it got triggered and I reversed it, and then it just went right to the end. There we go. This sample that I got is a 64-step sample. It's pretty long. Now, there's ways that we can make it so that when I'm reversing it, it doesn't accidentally reverse at the very end of the sample and suddenly stop, and then I have to wait another 60+ steps for it to play again. We learned about slicing beforehand. If I enable my grid record mode right now, this particular sample, which is 64 steps long, is being triggered on the first trig, and then it just plays for 64 steps. Now, knowing what I know about slicing and about linear trigs, I could set this up so that instead of having it just start here and play for 64 steps, I could slice this so then a new slice will get played every beat. And then that way, there's much less danger of having the sample reverse, cut off, and then waiting for 50 or 60 steps for it to play again. So let me just demonstrate what I'm talking about. I'm going to go into the edit mode. I'm going to hold this down, go into edit, go into slice. Now we know that the slicing mode is non-destructive. So I can slice this. If I don't like what I did, I can just delete all the slices and go back to how I had it before. There's no danger in experimenting with this. It's 64 steps long. If I slice it using 16 slices, then I'll have 1 slice per beat. So function, edit, create slice grid, and I'm going to create 16 slices. Yes. Now I'm in my record grid mode right now. The record button is lit up. I don't have the track set up to place slices or to play the different slots. So I can actually enter these steps into my sequencer now. So I'm going to put a trig for every beat. I'm going to do that for every page. And now I'm going to go ahead and create linear locks. Now let me play this first just so we can hear. So right now we see it's just playing the first slice over and over again. Let's go into our edit menu, create linear locks. Yes. We see each individual slice is playing in order. But what's cool is that if I move my crossfader to the other side, now it's playing each slice at the end, playing it in reverse, but we're still moving forward through the sample. This also gives me the chance to play with the rate parameter without totally throwing off the rhythm of this particular track. So that's just one way that we can take advantage of scenes. Now, maybe I want to have another scene set up so that I can do something else. Let me get out of here. And on the same track, let's go ahead and let me see, not the filter, delay. Yeah, why not? We'll add some delay here. All right. There's a few different ways that we can play with the delay when it comes to utilizing scenes. I'm going to just do a very basic example right now. I'm going to go to scene slot A. Now, scene slot A right now is tied to this scene, scene 1. I can change it so that we have something else set up for scene 2. Let's make it so that when scene 2 is enabled, the send value for the delay goes way up. And let's make it so that scene B will not be scene 9, but scene 10 instead. And make it so that there's a little bit of delay value, but not quite as much. And we are going to make it so that the time gets extended and the feedback gets increased. All right. So I can go from scene 1 or scene 2 or scene 9 or scene 10. I can choose any scene that I want to for either scene slot. So let's just look at how this would work. Right now, I'm set to scene 1 for my first scene, scene A. Scene B is set to 9. So this is going to affect the rate first. So now I got the stuff playing reversed. If I go to scene A, I'm going to change this to the second slot. So now that's not going to affect the rate parameter. It's affecting the delay. Now, if I go back to the playback parameter, this is set at 63 by default. If this scene is not affecting the parameter that's locked to scene B, then when I slide over here, it's going to slide between the scene locked position and the default position. Here's a good example of what I mean. Let me go ahead and change the rate here to 16. So now when I go from this scene to this scene, the rate's going to go from -64 to what it's currently set to, +16. Because this scene is no longer assigned to the scene that was affecting the rate. This is affecting the delay. Now I could go to scene B here. I'm going to change this to the second scene. So we can hear the feedback amount being affected and the delay time. I'll go back to scene A. I'll change this to the first one here. So now when I go to scene A, the rate's going to jump back up to +63. So just scratching the surface of what's possible with scenes, but this is an extremely powerful feature and allows you to take advantage of the crossfader, which I must say is silky smooth. So if you want to smoothly transition between parameter states, using scenes is a great way to do it.